Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and yeah, I'm finally getting around to watching this ding-dang vampire counts video thingamajigger. So there was a stream a few days ago where they basically went over the vampire counts rework, and people kept asking what are my thoughts on it, and I kept saying I haven't watched it yet, so now I'm gonna watch it, and I am gonna be doing my best to kind of zip through this at a healthy pace, so because this is like a crazy long live stream. So what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna kick up the speed. Let's do like let's see what Josh sounds like at like 1.5 speed, and we're gonna go through this and see all of the update stuff. So I'm gonna keep the audio relatively low as I'm kind of talking through this. But our goal is basically just to check out all the new features and see what we're looking at. I do have like a decent amount of awareness of stuff for the vampire counts. But the last time I had heard anything on it, it had been quite... it's been a bit, actually. So there is a good chance that a lot of the things that I was told or know about are no longer relevant. So let's find out. Or at the very least, they've just been updated. So here we've got... Okay, so here we've got all of the new Lord effects. And these look pretty damn promising. Okay, so we got the starting army. Of course, I don't have the starting armies memorized. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it looks like, so we've got what, 2 regular Graveguard with halberds, Blood Knights, Vargeist Bats, and a Black Coach. Okay, that's pretty significant. We also see that, okay, so he counts as a legendary vampire. You start with Isabella, 10% campaign movement to all armies, plus 2 unit capacity right at the start for Sylvanian crossbowmen and handgunners, and then you get regeneration for all crossbowmen and handgunners faction wide. Okay, that's really, really solid. I like that a lot. That's a really good starting salvo. So that means you're, I presume, immediately then able to recruit some of the Sylvanian ranged units. That's fantastic. I really, really love that. And then for his personal lord effects, we see both him and Isabella in the same region get a 50% higher healing cap. Oh, that's fun. This character will not gain any traits associated with being wounded. That's interesting. Okay, so his old system was that he would simply come back within like he'd get -4 turns or whatever. But I think this is actually a really good way to allow Vlad to still be dangerous with the new update. For those that haven't heard, there's an update coming with Lord of the End Times where basically if a legendary lord or a character keeps dying over and over and over again, within like 10 turns, then every time they die, they get hit with a penalty that makes them stay dead for longer. So the first time you would die, your character's gone for 4 turns, right? Normally. And basically that method exists so that if you are killing the same enemy over and over, especially immortal enemies, because obviously if they're not immortal, they're just dead forever. But if you're killing the same immortal enemy over and over, each time you kill them in rapid succession, it's going to take longer and longer for them to come back. That way, that will cut down on the AI in particular, just spamming out the same lord over and over again. But we see here with Vlad that Vlad has a unique immunity to that, in that it looks like he cannot get that trait, because I believe it's a trait that then basically turns off after a certain amount of turns without dying. So that's pretty good. +5 casualty replenishment. He still gets Vanguard deployment on everyone, and -10% upkeep. So still super duper duper good. Yeah, I just read all that, Josh. Shush. Once again, I'm going to be skipping through a lot of this. Yeah, everything is a work in progress. This is not the final version of the build. It is very, very possible that between now and when y'all are seeing this video, oh my gosh, when y'all are seeing this video, it'll be Sunday morning, which means we are 1 month away. In exactly 31 days, I believe, we will all be playing Lords of the End Times together. It'll be a good time. So None of this is locked in. There's a very, very high chance. Well, I'm going to say not a high chance, but there's a decent chance that some of the things you are going to see today might change due to like some last minute bug discoveries, or like when all the content creators get early access and we start doing recordings on builds and stuff. We might run into something that causes an issue and we're like, oh, this needs to get fixed, or like little micro balance or whatever, and they might fix that then, and yada, yada, yada. All right, so for Manfred, wait, did I miss Isabella? Or did they just not click on her? Oh, rude, they just skipped her. How rude. I thought we supported women's wrongs in this house, Josh. So here with Manfred, we see his starting army is actually significantly weaker, but it's also larger. With the 2 Grave Guard skeletons, 2 zombies, Black Knights, and direwolves, and there might be some other units that I think that's Mitch is covering up. So we still see that he still is going after the Books of Nagash. He still has unique access to a Drakenhof building, which scales with the amount of books you have, plus 20 research, plus 20 diplomacy with vampiric factions and the followers of Nagash. And he still has, plus 10% speed for Graveguard and Black Knights, plus 15 wins of magic, starts with Master of the Black Arts, and gives you significant upkeep reduction for Graveguard and Black. So whites. Solid. Okay, cool. Oh, there it is. So this is what I was talking about a little earlier. So escalating character wounds. Each time a human or AI character is wounded in battle or via assassination, they get a trait increasing their wound recovery time. If you're wounded again, it increases again. After 10 turns, the trait will be removed, but this only begins once you are no longer wounded. Okay, so yeah, so that is, I think that's really, really good. I think that's a very, very good change. You also have the new anti-player bias. I think we talked a little bit that during the bar stream, but basically it's just a thing. Like they're adding so many more sliders and stuff, which is great. These are always awesome. Anything that allows people to customize their experiences to make the campaign the way they want to play it is always a huge win in my boat. And the more of that we have, the better. Okay. I am realizing, I think the, I don't know if y'all are able to hear. No, y'all are not able to hear the audio. Cool. Well, you don't really need to be able to hear the audio, to be honest. Actually, that probably makes my life easier if you don't hear the audio. So my fun fact, as I'm delving into this, of that, I did a whole bunch of cool audio stuff to try and get my audio as good as it could be, and for all I know, it's going to sound like absolute ass this entire conversation, because I shut down my PC for the day, and then when I rebooted it, it completely just borked everything. Like everything was completely broken, and I had to completely uninstall and reinstall everything. So I don't know how this video is going to sound. Hopefully it's not going to be super garbage. All right, now y'all should be able to hear it. I went back and fixed it a little bit. So I will say, the new art is spectacular. This is amazing art. It's kind of one of those unfortunate. It's just beautiful. Like the new zombie dragon, which I know. I am so excited that zombie dragons are now a regular creature. They are no longer locked behind character mounts, which means you actually will see them on a significantly more regular basis. I also think it finally gives us what feels like a top tier Necrarch monster, being that a regular zombie dragon running around, they're pretty rare to see not being mounted in combat, but like obviously the most powerful of necromancers, which is often going to be the big bad necromancers as well as the big bad Necrarchs, are able to resurrect them. And there have been a couple of famous figures throughout history who have resurrected a rather significant number of them, notably Van Hal, who resurrected like 20 zombie dragons during the Great Siege of his citadel during the Black Plague Wars. But this art looks absolutely incredible. It's a lot of cool stuff. It was a little funny when I saw someone, I think, posted an image of it up on like Twitter or something, and it was a little funny because I had the same reaction I saw a lot of people having when they saw this piece, which is that my first gut reaction would be like, "Ooh, this kind of looks like AI," and then I realize it's not. It's obviously not. I know it's not. Like the artists that CA uses are fantastic, and like I know where this comes from, and I know it's not AI. It's just the particular style is very similar to what AI likes to do. It's like I hate that we live in a world where my brain thinks that.
That's pretty cool.
But anyway, let's keep it on here. So
we didn't have the time to go into depth there would be the tech tree. But
okay, so they're starting us off on a campaign where they're already 17 turns in. That's super duper fine. Here it looks like we've got some quests already going. So Blood Drinker and the Karstein Ring are obviously Vlad von Karstein's quest battles, but we have the Council of the Doom Lord. So the Council of the Doom Lord is a reference to... That would be a reference to Dieter Hellschnitt, the Doom Lord Mindenheim. So I'm curious to see if they're going to let us see that, because maybe that's his recruitment system for how we get him.
The blog wasn't all-encompassing. I think if we put it in the blog, it would have been pages and pages. So there's a lot. And the other caveat, which I mentioned to you, I really want to say is there's going to be things that even I forget, just because there's so much that's changed. There's going to be stuff that we don't cover here.
They wouldn't let us show this off. We don't get to show this off for like ages. And plus, they have a different version than the version we have, which is probably that we had like at the time, which was very incomplete. So I'm curious to see what's similar and what's different.
Not only all of the changes you want to make and how you want the race to play, but there's also obviously a whole bunch of player feedback. There's I kind of looked at this is the vamps system for vamp.
Once again, I'm going to be skipping a lot of what they're saying because I'm more interested in what they're showing. So.
Problematic in a lot of areas, so
we're not going to worry too much about that. And obviously, we'll dive in really, really hard on this when we get to a day where we get a build where I'm allowed to do this. Okay, so we have the vampire layers.
So, as I mentioned, vampires are the cornerstone of your campaign, right? They are like the most powerful lords that you could possibly imagine, and we really wanted to double down on that. So if you just close this quickly, close the panel at the top there, and if you go to recruit a new lord, so people are going to notice something pretty different.
Okay, so I will say, looking at this, I am really, really excited to see that it looks like the lore of Undeath is just a normal new lore. It's just a normal lore that is available to the appropriate factions. I'm pretty sure all of the undead factions are going to be able to wield it. So the Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast, and Tomb Kings, which is really, really awesome. That's great for those factions. I'm very, very glad just to see more variety available for like Master Necromancers and such.
Yeah, so where have they gone? So previously we give you a lot of choices as to
which I really hope the Master Necromancers are significantly better.
Doubling down on that vampire thing, the only standard lords that you can get now consistently are
because like man, they used to be terrible. I hope they're just much improved.
Kind of mentioned earlier, which is the real differentiation between necromancers and vampires themselves. So back to the lair. So the idea, the philosophy of vampires now is they're kind of a little bit rarer, right? Obviously, you can't get them as standard lords, and the kind of the way lairs work is every time you start a campaign, the position of lairs in the world. Number one, you have to go out and discover them. They're not going to be immediately revealed to you. You're going to have to discover them yourself. And the location of the lairs will change every time you start a new campaign. So there's like a real element of like exploration in the campaign.
Okay, so that's really, really cool. So basically saying that vampire lairs are not always guaranteed to be in the same places. So whenever you start a brand new campaign, they're going to be in random locations. So every campaign is going to be at least a little bit different as far as like where you're going to be getting vampires from.
We're really going to want to find a lair because this is where you now get your vampire lords.
So how do I, let's say I find a lair, how do I get access to it? Do I have to take the settlement or?
Yeah, so there's two ways that you can get a lair. So one of them is essentially lairs exist inside settlements, right? They're kind of hidden, beneath, in this case, like Castle Templehof, right? So you could go occupy Castle Templehof, you can conquer it, and then that obviously will give you access to the lair. The other way you can do it is eventually there's a technology in the tree, which we can look at later, that will give your agents access to occupying lairs. So yeah, as you progress a bit further, you'll be able to send your agents.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so there's a tech you could eventually get that lets you take a lair without even needing to take the settlement. That's cool.
Why that might be impactful. So
I like that because I'm not a fan of features that require occupation in order to interact with them, because that can be really punishing for people like me that like to play what they feel like are loreful campaigns where you team up with and ally yourself alongside other factions. So I'm glad that there's a way that if I have allies like Azhag or Archon or whoever it may be, and they happen to be on top of a vampiric lair, I'm not being forced to try and take the settlement from them.
So the first thing you're kind of going to want to do is you're going to want to select your bloodline. Now there's kind of a little bit of abstraction here, admittedly, and if you kind of imagine it in the real world, inside the the real world of Warhammer, the vampire inside the lair, right, is probably already a bloodline. We're going gameplay first here, right? So we are going to let you select which bloodline you want.
Yeah, so I've talked about this because we saw this in the article that they put out that I already did a video on for the Neferata stuff, and I do like this. I need to go back and look through the comments of that though. Of that, I am a little sad that the kind of like basic bitch generic vampire seems to have been retired. I did like having them just to represent that like some vampires are not significant members of a bloodline. That's just not how vampires all work. Not every vampire is one of the five, and some vampires, their powers are so diluted and messy that they and no one around them has any idea what bloodline they're from. If they're even from one of the five, or if they're like just a mutt that is so deeply diluted that they have lost all the significant connections to their families. Plus, it's going to be a little bit of a shame to see those particular vampire designs functionally retired, because all of the bloodline lords have fairly distinct looks, and the regular vampire, it was similar to the von Karstein, but there were some differences.
It's obviously one of the 5 bloodline lords. Each of them is, understandably
very unique. Like this system.
So yeah, you're going to make your selection. There you go. What did you pick?
Von Karstein.
Von Karstein, cool. So you're going to pick your bloodline. Now you've picked your lord. You can change your choice on your lord if you really want to. But now that you picked your bloodline, now you can see kind of around the coffin here, you're going to be able to build a lot of extra empowerment.
Because 500 blood to awaken a basic vampire.
Power the vampire up. And this feature now is going to allow you to
holy
really
moly,
how much investment you want to put into this vampire before.
Wow. Okay, so a lot of these are really expensive. 2,000 dark magic and 900 blood. That looks like a pretty notable investment.
Some of these are so I've been hoarding blood because I knew that we'd have to do stuff like this. But these are like blood I want to be using on some of my high tier units. So these are some of these pretty expensive if you want to be getting some of these more powerful effects.
Yeah, so we'll talk about blood a little bit in a bit, because that's a big part of the race now. But yeah, essentially one of the core parts of this race now is blood is like a really crucial resource for you, and you're going to want to decide, because there's so many places you can spend it in the faction.
Okay, so not all of these. Okay, so this lets you get a rare necromancer follower alongside them. This gives you a unique starting trait. Oh, that's super cool. Okay, so this one has multiple levels, and it looks like for the first level at least, you get 10 additional ranks. I'm assuming you could just take that 3 times. So if you invest enough, you could start a vampire lord that just pops out at rank 40. Or no, they'd be if they start at rank 1, they'd be 11, 21, 31. But that's still huge. Like, that's significant. That's a really, really powerful starting character.
We'll talk about blood a little bit.
The Lord will spawn with a small army nearby instead of being added to the recruitment pool. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So you could get around having to pay the recruitment cost, and you also get like a random amount of units if you just want them to immediately start running around fighting.
Because that's a big part of the race now. But yeah, essentially one of the core parts of this race now is blood.
3,000 corpses will be added to this province. Okay, cool.
It's like a really crucial resource for you, and you're going to want.
Okay, we looked at that one.
Because there's so many places you can spend it in the faction. You're going to kind of have to essentially strategize, right? Like, where do you want to spend?
You get a legendary necromancer follower. Ooh, if you upgrade it
but
2 times.
You might be lacking a bit of blood to spend elsewhere.
Yes.
So yeah, essentially this feature is now kind of one of investment. How powerful do you want to make your vampire?
I do like this a lot. This is, I think, as close as we realistically could ever get to like building custom characters outside of like the Demon Princes from the Demon Prince campaign, which is a feature that is so annoyingly unique to that campaign that it might as well not exist, because that campaign is just absolute trash. It is the trashiest thing in the game, but I'm not going to get into that right now. we're gonna keep moving.
What would you say so followers then? So this focus.
Okay, so you get followers. The Lord will spawn with a random mount already unlocked. Okay, that's interesting. That's curious that they went with a random one. I kind of expected that one would have like a tier system as well, where it would be like, if you take the first level, they have a horse. Second level is a hellsteed. Maybe the third level then would be a zombie dragon. Or something like that. But I mean, random is better actually, because there's like I assume they did random maybe because some of the mounts will be locked behind DLCs, because I believe the Coven Throne is technically locked behind Nagash's DLC. So
things that they come with.
Yeah, so imagine followers.
Faithful Servant. The Lord's former necromancer will be risen from the dead alongside. Oh, you spawns a necromancer hero with them. And you also get, the necromancer gets 10 additional ranks. That's so cool. That's so cool. So you could just spawn them with like a full-on hero just immediately next to them.
Kind of the.
That's really, really cool. I like that a lot.
You know, their followers from when they were back, kind of awake, right? Essentially, like you've got maybe, you know, they're old necromancer, right? You can raise a really powerful necromancer with them. You can give them a starting mount, so they don't have to progress down the skill tree. You can give them a bunch of extra corpses. We'll talk about corpses in a sec. And then if you go to the very left upgrade, this is really cool, and this is why I mentioned it's kind of really impactful if you get a layer underneath an enemy.
You can see some of these are locked off through text, right?
Oh yeah, you know, I was thinking about this one. I was like, I can't really imagine me ever wanting to do that unless I was like really desperate to defend an area, but that feels kind of weird. But that's a really good point. So if you get the tech to use an agent to go wake up or discover and start using a vampire lair beneath an enemy settlement, you could then use Awakened Retinue to make it where when the Lord pops out, he has an army ready to go with him and just immediately attack. So that's very, very cool.
Technology tree will allow you to essentially unlock.
That's a really interesting option.
If you really want. So this one is knowledge. So this is kind of where you can start your vampire.
Okay, so... Oh, interesting. Okay, so you can pick different kinds of buffs. So you can either choose to have the Vampire Lord themselves start with a bunch of additional ranks ready to go, or you can start it where the Lord has a couple of ranks, but if it's in one of the areas that you're defending, it allows them to... Oh, no, it doesn't even have to be in the same area. It's just all lords and heroes in your faction. That's super cool. So you can have a lot of support buffs. So just a bunch of bonus experience to all the characters you already have by resurrecting this vampire. Or you could focus on making the vampire themselves super spooky. I like that a lot. That's really, really good, especially if you're like, I don't really need to recruit another vampire right now. But like, I can get some cool buffs. And then there we saw... Greybound Relics, you spawn with 2 random uncommon items equipped. I love that. I love being able to start with items on a character. That's super cool. And then you will maintain control of this vampire lair instead of abandoning it. Okay, that's cool.
Kind of ancillary starting on the character if you want to. You can essentially get like a fully kitted out load.
So I'm assuming that means you could just keep spawning vampires from it over and over and over again. The level 2 version is you maintain control of this vampire lair and you immediately discover a new one hidden somewhere in the world. That's super cool. Okay, so if you're someone that like wants to have tons and tons of vampire lords, all you need is one enduring lair and you're basically good to go.
After you've awakened the vampire.
And then the third one gives you any necromancer hero raised alongside this lord will spawn near the newly discovered lair. Oh, that's really, really fun. Okay, that's fun. So that allows you to sort of combo the different abilities together. So if you get the one that lets you raise a necromancer follower alongside them, or a new necromancer hero, this tech will change it where instead of that necromancer joining their army, that necromancer is then instead teleported to where this new lair you discover is. And then if you have the tech that lets your heroes activate lairs, he could immediately activate that layer, and then you're off you go. So that's really, really cool. I like that a lot.
This will allow you to maintain the vampires. Keeping that layer will give you lots of extra benefits.
So if you've only found a few, you
and I do like a lot that there's only 6 powers you can have. Like there's only 6 slots. So these are all really, really good, but you only get to choose 6 of them, and then some of them can upgrade. So you have a lot of really, really good options though for a lot of different playstyles. So let's see what some of these starting traits look like. So Shadow Stalker makes it where you get Stalking Stance. Holy shit. So Stalking Stance is the Skaven stance, which basically makes it where anytime you initiate a battle, it counts as an ambush, which is really powerful. Okay. Ooh, okay. But it has some pretty serious downsides. So you get 50% less corpses gained from battle, and your campaign line of sight is reduced by 70%. Oh my good lord. But also everything in the army has devastating flanker and stalk. So you have a super hardcore assassination army basically that is going to be absolutely good at crippling people. However, it can't see anything on the campaign map. So that's really, really interesting. So the Shadow Stalker is probably very, very good for defending your territory rather than invading new territory because they can't see anything. So it's very likely that they'll get outmaneuvered and overwhelmed or attacked by things you can't see. Whereas if they're in your territory, your cities and settlements can have large enough line of sight that they can make up for the lack of line of sight that you have.
These are traits, so you can customize your vampire.
But that's really, really cool and powerful.
what I like about
Love of battle. This one longs for war, and in particular see their enemies up close whenever possible. Minus 20% spell intensity, and he has the revealed attribute. So revealed means that the AI can always see you, or if you're playing multiplayer, that your enemies can always see you. But you also get 25% physical resistance, the Berserk passive, and +3 melee attack. That is super cool. I also really like about this that this basically just means that this is your this is your blood dragon trait. If you're making a lore accurate blood dragon, then you should have this on your big bad blood dragon blender lord. Because of course a blood dragon is not going to hide himself. He's going to be loud and proud, but look at all those buffs you get.
All of them have a little bit of a drawback.
Yeah,
right?
so this is really the intention.
Yeah, Shadowstalker is very Strigoi coded.
You can see
Immense Constitution. Chance of the plague spreading to this army is minus 80%, immune to all attrition, plus 25% hit points. But if he dies, he takes 10 extra turns to come back to life. Dear Lord. And then you get plus 5% casualty replenishment in his entire army and immune to contact effects. That's really, really, really cool. So this is almost like a really large, tanky vampire, but when he's killed, it takes so much more effort to bring him back. I love that a lot. This feels really, really good for, I think, like, if I was doing, like, world building in my head, this would work incredibly well for either a Strigoi or a Necrarch.
Here, but the traits inside the feature are much more focused on customization.
These are so fun! This is, like, such cool, like, little narrative stuff. Magically Adept gives you minus 50% hit points of the character, but plus 50% range for your spells, plus 25% spell intensity, and 20% spell resistance to all units in the army. So this is your Necrarch one. So if you want, like, a hardcore Necrarch caster, who will hopefully not be fighting under any circumstances, this is the one you'd want to go with.
Right, so this one, you can kind of instantly see the point of this, right? That's
really, really, really fun, though. Plus 50% targeting range for spells is actually pretty, that's rather significant.
How do you want to customize
we all do love big bonus ranges in this house.
Yeah, kind of focused on their power. The next one is focused on their legacy. So these are kind of...
So legacy is... just additional traits. Okay. The Lucky, you get a 10% ward save. You're basically immune to enemy heroes' action chances. You have Slippery, and you get a magic item drop chance. However, there's a 1% chance you will lose this trait every turn. Ooh, spooky, but really, really fun. Okay, so that's a very, very powerful trait. Interestingly, if it's just a 1% chance and it doesn't, like, if there's no stacking to it, the kind of funny thing about this is that means it basically makes it like the oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the item, but there's an item that has a 1% chance to wound you for like 20 turns, or a 2% chance to give you a positive trait. And the funny thing about the game is that if you're ever like, I want my character to be powerful and I don't ever want to lose this, if you ever end a turn and you lose the trait, you could just reload the save because it re-rolls every time, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah, these are
that's really good though. That's really fun.
Trade-offs, but they're much more focused on kind of
the Commander. So this one gives you plus 8 leadership for all units rank 7 and above, plus 12% weapon strength, plus 6% ward save, but it lowers the leadership of all units rank 6 and below by 10. Oh my god! Minus 20% weapon strength for all units rank 6 and below, and plus 10% upkeep. Holy cow. Okay, so this guy makes super hardcore elite troops, but anyone that's not up to snuff in his army, anyone not gold chevron or above, is having a really bad time. That's really fun. Ooh, god, that upkeep, 10% upkeep increase. There are ways around that, but that's hefty. The Inflamed, 30% extra income from sacking settlements. Fire has flaming damage, gives frenzy to all units in his army, has the Enrage ability, but everything in his army has a 100% weakness to fire. Oh no. That's super, that's such cool, like, little story building. You can make some really, really fun vampires with this.
Should we build a vampire?
Can do.
I have just enough blood. There's a question, how will the AI handle the vampire lair mechanic?
Yeah, so the AI uses it just like the player. So
Oh, the AI
they'll
can
do all
use
the
it.
things,
Okay,
you know, you
cool.
imagine to get the lair, they'll use the agents, they'll occupy territories, and then they'll use the feature just like a player does. They'll decide which bloodline they want, and then also they'll customize it as well.
I have our Twitch extension on, which we're not going to use. I have no idea how that will work. So they've awoken. We've got a vampire.
Okay, cool.
And then here they are.
There they are. Yeah, so now you can obviously recruit them at your own leisure.
Yep.
They end up in your pool.
Man, so that means you could get a vampire that has 3 starting traits, which I really, really like, because that means you get you have the 2 trait slots that you could purchase, and then you've got their
If we
random
built that building,
generated
their,
trait as
That
well.
upgrade, their empowerment that allows you to put the vampire into an army, then they would have appeared outside your settlement as well with a small force.
Okay, super cool,
Still
super
kind
cool,
of leaves you a
super
little
cool.
remnant to remind you of what you did recruit there.
Okay, so that layer is now done because he didn't
Yeah.
get the other buff.
That's vampire layers.
That's vampire
There was
layers.
a lot of interconnecting stuff there with blood and corpses.
There
Where do you
was.
want to go from there?
Yeah, I mean, so much. One thing to mention is a lot of the race rework now. It's quite like intertwined. So a lot of the features like interact with each other. So that generates a lot of gameplay. That's pretty good. So yeah, where to go to next? I suppose we could talk about corpses and blood. So you can see on the left in the province panel, we've now got a new resource as well. called
Okay,
corpses.
so corpses can be gained by battles, buildings, corpse transports, technology, blood decrees, vampire layers, units disbanded, and captives killed. They will be used on being converted into blood, transported to a different location, lost when transporting, and recruitment. Okay,
So when you fight battles,
so you can use it on quite a
instantly,
few things.
Things die, and then those things create corpses. So battles are primarily the way that you get corpses.
Okay.
Every province has its own pool of corpses. So if you fight a battle, next to Tempelhof, then this pool for the province of Northern Sylvania, the corpses there will increase based on kind of the casualties that were suffered on both sides in the battles that occur.
Cool,
in the province.
Makes sense, makes sense.
So one of the things we did is a little bit technical, but we added a new system that allows you to have resources like in other provinces. So if you were to go to another province that you've got kind of nothing to do with,
Oh, so over here.
yeah, so there you go, Kemperbad and Talabek land, right? So you can still see their corpses.
And are these being generated by AI battles fighting each other?
Yeah, so
All right,
battles in the world
cool.
generate corpses.
So corpses
So,
generate.
you might stumble across a province that like, oh wow, there was a massive war here, ton of corpses. That are obviously-
That's really cool. I do like that it's keeping track of it over the course of the game. The only thing I kind of wish when I hear about a system like that, where it's like, oh, it's keeping track of corpses over the course of the game that then you can interact with later as a vampire count player, I kind of wish the factions that were super anti-vampire count had ways to destroy corpses or like lower the amount of corpses in their provinces or neighboring provinces. Like, I think that'd be a really cool gimmick for the Empire to have, where like if you have maybe like some kind of Morite building, it has the ability to reduce the amount of corpses in that province as they like bury them and do the proper burial rites so they can't be
Right, you gotta head to
raised
where
as
there's kind of lots
undead
of
and
corpses.
yada yada yada.
So the corpses are persistent; they'll always exist in provinces. Even if you kind of go to a province and you leave, the corpses will always stay there.
Yep.
So the next thing we could talk about would be
That is very
race
cool,
dead,
though.
which again, we're kind of going all over the place here, but it's all.
And that does encourage a vampire player to head for dramatic
So yeah, if you go
places.
to the recruitment, so the left one, Raise the Dead. So as I mentioned earlier, Raise the Dead is the only recruitment system that vampires use now, and it is instantaneous. This is a real big part of the vampires' kind of power.
Okay, so you get instantaneous raising the dead. It looks like there are unit caps that I presume you're able to increase using buildings and technologies. We see that there are infinite caps for zombies, skeletons with spears, fell bats, and corpse carts. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then at the top, we see... Okay, interesting. Okay, so the units on the bottom, you raise using corpses. The units on the top, you raise using blood. And it looks like the top is vampiric units and spirit units, because you can see the spirit hosts, you also have an infinite number of... oh my god, look at the unit art for the Drakenhof Templars. That looks so cool.
So one of the things, I know that, I don't know if Crystal is listening to this, but okay, Crystal always sends a weekly report on what players are talking about to the designers and the rest of the team, and a big part of that is always players talk a lot about like power creep. So one of the real big things I've really tried to do with the kind of the race rework is to keep that in mind. So I've really focused a lot.
I will say,
on
it is very funny to me that they're like, okay, we got to worry about, like, we got to be careful about power creep and make sure that we're respecting power creep and all that stuff. Like, it's like, yeah, I agree, but like at the same time, are y'all gonna like go back and look at Korn not having access to Chosen at like tier 3? Like, It's good to not introduce more power creep as the game is continuing, but like I also feel like there's some retroactive things that might need to be looked at.
And also everywhere now that there is like something really powerful, there's either a trade-off or there's something that you kind of need to do that gives you that power.
Yep.
So
That is good though.
God,
Vampire counts are looking really fun. I'm so excited to play a new Kimmler campaign.
That's another thing you really like.
So excited to play a new Kimmler campaign.
And so obviously Raised Dead, really powerful. You can get the
look at the zombie dragon. Oh, I'm so happy to see the zombie dragon as just a generic creature now. I'm so happy to see the zombie dragon as a generic creature. So that means the only faction that has dragons that cannot recruit dragons, I think, is Chaos, right? I think it's just the Warriors of Chaos. I think they're the last one that have a dragon mount that you can't recruit as a normal beastie. Hopefully that'll come down the line. In a perfect world, maybe it would come alongside like Egron von Horseman and Galroch. Even though that would actually have them being more like Tzeentch dragons as opposed to like just basic bitch chaos dragons. But you're like, who cares, right? Por qué no los dos?
There's no recruit time, but you do need corpses to recruit them. As a trade-off.
I do like that it's instant recruitment. I do like that it requires a resource that is local. Whereas blood is global, but blood seems like it's much more valuable.
And then the other units, the rest like tier 3, 4, 5, the more powerful units, they all require blood too. Your lower tier units, think of like
okay, yeah, there's the Morgul still. Good.
Units, but mostly 1 and 2. And then the other units, the rest like tier 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, looks good, man.
Units, they all require blood.
You got a basic Coven Throne. You got the two Lamian, handmaid units.
From some buildings.
And you can see them here, as in, so this is the province that I'm in. This is how many corpses it has, right?
Exactly.
So I just fought a battle here, so there's a ton in here.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You get blood. Essentially, you also need to...
Okay, so blood you get from buildings. You can convert corpses into blood. That's very funny. You get it from events, missions, technologies, and units disbanded. And then it's used on construction, characters, commandments, confederation, empowering bloodlines, recruitment, rituals, technology, and vampire lairs. Wow, okay, so blood you can spend on like goddamn near anything.
So it's kind of this dichotomy with corpses where you need them for your recruitment, but you also need corpses because you're going to turn them through kind of...
Okay, and I do like that corpses have a use outside of just recruitment. Like, it's a little funny to imagine they're just like sticking a bunch of corpses into a blender and then... oh, look! That's so cool! Yay! Hooray! I've been really wanting this. So the Morgul Haunter is now a generic hero for the vampire counts. That's really cool. That's really exciting. Yay! So the I love the Morgul Haunter. One of the things I had noticed when I was looking at the Morgul Haunter was that it was very strange to me that it wasn't available for the vampire counts, because if you actually look at its skill tree for the Vampire Coast, it doesn't actually have any skills that like make it Vampire Coast themed. Like all of it, because all of its unique skills, like all of its skills are just about making it a bigger beat stick. So everything about it just makes it better at fighting and better at dealing damage. So I've been like poking them about this, and I'm really glad to see that got implemented. That's awesome. So like, hey, hell yeah. And then we could see you got all the vampire heroes over here. So you got the new Lamian vampire hero. Then you got the handmaid unit. And then we've got the Coven Throne and the Oh, okay, so interesting. So the Dragonov Templars look like they're a tier 4 unit. And then we got our Blood Knights as tier 5. Okay, cool. And then looks like spirit units. It's kind of funny to me that the Morguls don't count as, like, they technically are an ethereal. Well, Morguls are a very weird thing. Like they're a very awkward place in the setting. But you got like your true ghosty boys over here, and then Morguls look like they're part of the kind of bestial creatures tree, which like debatably they should be like just the tier 3 of the spooky ghost tree. Because they are technically ethereal ghosts, but like that's kind of hair splitting.
Now, the other thing I mentioned, maybe we won't talk about it too much. You can notice that the building tree has changed quite substantially as well. One of the things that we've reworked. Yeah.
So okay, so we got these new buildings. Well, go back. go back, Josh. You're moving too quick. Bone pits. When vampire corruption is 50 or more, generate 100 corpses per turn. Oh, okay, that's really, really nice. Okay, so you could basically, if there's places where you're intending to do lots of recruitment, or if you're just wanting to convert corpses to blood on a pretty notable scale, and you just need lots and lots of corpses, you need then bone pits. Bone pits are great. That's awesome.
Talk about that maybe a bit later.
Necrotic morgue, 10 blood per turn, and if you have more than 0 corpses, you convert up to 50 corpses into 50 blood per turn. That's great. Okay, awesome. So when playing vampire counts, it sounds like you're gonna probably want to have provinces and or regions that are almost purely dedicated to just basically being a giant blender that generates as many corpses as it can and then dumps them all into making a blood smoothie.
But for now, there's a necromancy side of the tree, and here this is kind of
that's really cool. That's great. So this and then it's a split tree. This one gives you 20 blood per turn, and then it can convert up to 100 corpses per turn, so 120 blood per turn. Whereas that one, this building can only be built in one location in your faction at a time. Whoa, okay. So that's once per faction, and you have to have the Mastery of the Dark Arts building technology to unlock the building. When this province has 5,000 or more corpses, every turn convert 2,000 corpses into blood with a conversion rate of 50%. So you have to have 5,000 or more corpses per turn, or sitting in your pool, and then you lose half those corpses to the conversion rate. Damn currency conversion. So you'd be getting 1,000 blood per turn if it's working at maximum capacity. Which, I mean, that sounds like it's a pretty good amount of blood. I do like that there's kind of like a limit. There's kind of like a limit cap on that. So it sounds like blood, it's not super easy to cheese like infinite amounts of it.
Again, because corpses are a provincial resource, they're in your provinces, where you build these buildings is going to be important because they'll pull those corpses from the local.
And then what is the Death Shroud Spire? Converts the climate of all regions in the local province to undead wastelands. So long as this building exists, it also gives plus 100 vampiric corruption locally. If the evocation of Nagash commandment is not active in the province, it lowers vampiric corruption by 100 in all adjacent provinces. Holy shit. Okay. So basically, a Death Shroud Spire allows you to convert terrain, which is really, really cool. We've been seeing more and more and more of this in recent patches, where more factions, especially the magically powerful factions, are getting access to late tier abilities or late tier techs or things that require a significant amount of investment in order to create something that negates climate penalties and can turn climates favorable to them. So we see like Kislev can use lots of devotion to make chaos climates not bad for them. We also see I think the Lizardmen have a thing now that does that. I think Cathay might have a thing that does that now. I'd have to go look around and remember. But we're seeing more and more of it, which I think is super cool, as long as it remains something that's meant for later games. So it requires like a significant financial investment, or it requires like a late game tech. Like it requires you to do jump through some hoops to get it. I think it's perfectly fine and good.
Province. So again, you've got to kind of decide where you're going to build your economy. Because you're
really good though. Really good. I'm liking what I'm seeing a lot.
A small trickle of corpses. It's that one on the left there of the necromancy tree. So you can get corpses per turn, but really primarily battles are going to be where you get your.
That's where you get the thousands, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the big chunk of corpses that you'll get.
That's good though.
This is more of a bank for you. If you lose everything, you're back in your starting provinces. You've got something to help you push back out.
Yeah, exactly. This will give you that kind of backup amount, and it'll always keep your blood conversion building always like ticking over, because there'll always be at least some corpses coming in. So just to mention the building side as well. So we've dropped the advanced recruitment for vampires. Kind of didn't really make sense to keep it anymore. You've now purely just got the military recruitment. So one of the things that we have added, again, mentioned earlier, for every big power spike that the race has, there is kind of like trade-offs and things that you need to manage. So Raised Dead, very powerful. However, all of your units now require this, either blood or corpses, and we've introduced the unit cap system. So if you hover over one of the buildings for the recruitment, is anyone? Yeah, so there you
go. Okay. So they're like Tomb Kings, basically. They made them almost exactly like Tomb Kings. Oh, okay, but some of the it looks like all the buildings might also give you additional bonuses if you have appropriate technology, though. All right, I think this is reasonable. It's still different than the Tomb King system, because the Tomb King system locks the recruitment to the relevant province. So, like for the Tomb Kings, if you increase your capacity of like a Necrosphinx, that allows you to have more Necrosphinxes. If memory serves, you can't just recruit them anywhere using like instant recruitment. Instead, you have to either use global recruitment or you need to go back to that province and recruit them locally, and it still takes time. Whereas it looks like the vampire counts get instant recruitment, but the vampire counts also have to pay for their recruitment. Whereas for the Tomb Kings, recruitment and upkeep is still completely free. So there are still some very interesting, unique differences between them. I'm curious if this is going to affect the Vampire Coast. I'm based on what I have heard, I don't think the Vampire Coast is going to be getting any major attention with 9.0. There's basically just not enough time. And there's like a lot to do. But I would say that this is probably going to be like a nudge, nudge, wink, wink towards the Vampire Coast. I would not be shocked if the Vampire Coast are gonna get a pretty notably different recruitment system eventually to match them with the other undead. Because I do like this system, but then again, for the Vampire Coast, it doesn't really make as much sense for them, like gameplay wise, just because they tend to be less about empire building and more about like a nomadic sacking and raising system, like a pirate system. So like I could see for the Vampire Coast, maybe they don't end up going with unit caps, and that's what makes them unique among the undead factions, is that they get to completely ignore unit caps, just because for them it doesn't make as much sense, and it kind of ties into that unique fantasy of the Vampire Coast, where like a lot of their dead seem to be raised by forces, not just being the vampires, but also things like Stromfells and like the weird magic of Luther Harkin, and the for Noctilus, like the magic of the Maelstrom. Like there's a lot of other things that are raising the dead as opposed to the characters themselves. So it makes sense for them not to have unit caps, but yeah, whatever.
So you can see this building, the binding circle, will give you a core, still necessary. You don't need recruitment buildings to actually recruit the unit. Like you don't need to be in a place that has the...
Yeah, I do like that a lot. I think that's a completely reasonable trade-off. I also really like that all of these buildings give you more corpses once you have the grave robbing tech. Looks like the grave robbing tech is going to be pretty key to having like really good provinces. I think this is really solid. This looks fantastic to me. I still think it's really weird for the vampire hero to just be called vampires. I think I'm going to be pretty critical towards Creative Assembly when it comes to that. That if they're getting rid of the generic vampire lord, there shouldn't be generic vampire heroes. They need to pick a side, pick a lane and stick to it. I think it's perfectly fine to just make them von Karstein vampires and call it a day. Because that will also help like categorize them and maybe help give them some more unique flair. I think having them just be vampires is kind of stupid at this point, to be completely honest. But we'll have to see.
Getting that if you are struggling for corpses, being able to get more back at your home places.
Looks good though.
Yeah, so there's a couple of other things in the necromancy tree. So on the left there, there's that one. Yeah, so this one.
Okay, so this one is when this province has 5,000 or more corpses, each turn 2,000 corpses in this province will be transported to the location of the Mortis Nexus. Due to your current corpse transport research, you will lose 80% of the corpses. Oh my god. Okay, so apparently there is a corpse transport research gimmick where the more research you do into how to transport corpses safely, the less you lose in the transportation. I will say I really like that. That actually makes it where you need to invest in a part of the tech tree if you're wanting to have a really wide empire and you want to build wide rather than tall. Then it sounds like there's some particular techs you're probably going to want to go for. Otherwise, you're just going to end up losing the vast majority of the resources you're sending back to your capital.
This one will allow you to transport corpses from a province using your corpse carts, right? That is essentially what corpse carts are.
This is great. I love this.
Corpse
This is
carts to
super
send
duper
corpses
thematic
around,
and cool.
right, primarily to that Mortis Nexus, which does really, large scale conversion. Sending corpses around is inefficient, but you can improve that efficiency of your corpse carts by upgrading them in your tech tree. And then the last thing we'll mention, we could talk about this in the tech tree or here, but we can maybe talk about it here if you scroll to the right. So there's another one. There's a new climate.
That's the Disrupt Spire
one, but Undead Wasteland for vampire counts will give you even additional benefits on top. So yeah, if you really want to.
Okay, cool. So Undead Wasteland not only makes it worse, even worse for invading enemies that are coming into your territory, but it gives you additional buffs on top of the buffs you already get from Vampiric Corruption. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
As well, in a number of different ways.
Cool. There's a few things we're going to pick up on from chat then before we move on to, I assume, the tech tree.
Yeah, we go there.
Firstly, they spotted.
The Morgul Hunter.
Have you changed the Vampire Coast?
Yeah, so I know players won't be able to see this, but this project is enormous. Yeah. So we've kind of really hit our limit in kind of like what we can do. We've kind of covered.
Oh, okay. So here they're addressing coast.
If we want to do like the Vampire Coast justice in terms of a rework, we kind of need to make that like a focus of a project. So we didn't really have the capacity to focus on Vampire Coast for this time around. Equally so, I think if we were to do a Vampire Coast rework, it would probably be its own thing. Yes. I don't think we would like carry over exactly what we've done for like.
That's good.
Counts.
Yeah,
that's good. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't be like the Vampire Counts. They should be their own unique flair.
Vampire Counts have got this update. Technically, the Vampire Coast have a unique mechanic now with their Raised Dead. So that's one way to look at it if you're a glass half full.
True that.
A couple of other questions we will rush through
before you move on.
Yep.
Because people, I guess we're maybe talking about this, but we've added quite a lot between different races. So you can get the Mongol Haunter now as well.
Yep.
Obviously, Vampire Counts used to be able to get the Mongols, so it makes sense that they get the Mongol Haunter.
I wonder if we can get the Regiment of Renown as well.
Just a little thing on your but it's pretty cool.
I'm keeping an eye on these. We won't talk about them yet, because I guess we'll talk about that with Neferata.
Yeah.
So some of the other questions we had are I'm really going to mispronounce it. Strigoi Ghoul King?
Yeah.
Are they gone as an option?
Right, so that's a good segue into the tech tree if we want to go there. Or do you want to ask more?
Let me see if there's anything else
tech tree
to ask. If your settlement with a vampire lair belongs to a vassal or ally, do you still get access to the lair?
Not directly, so that's where you'd want to use an agent.
Yeah, skeletons, you're using corpses.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, it's we did go for like a thematic differentiation between which use corpses and which use blood. There'll be against like a little bit of abstraction here, like why does a ghost need blood, right?
Drink
magic,
summon it.
Yeah, I mean,
a pentagram.
Exactly, right.
You need blood to summon.
Doing weird rituals with blood. That's how you get ghosts, right? Something like that.
So I think this is probably for me like the coolest thing to have seen. I know like the vampire lairs is maybe my top feature, but the tech tree, I think is.
Oh, they have a 3-part tech tree. Holy moly. Holy moly. Okay, so we have the vampirism tree, the necromancy tree, and the dead tree.
So this is where we've been researching. I think the stuff in here is so cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So I'll start by saying, if people don't like this tech tree, I'm going to jump out of a window.
This is your life's work.
I worked so hard on this tech tree, and I think personally it's probably the best tech tree in the game, and by quite some margin as well.
That's very funny.
Into this tech tree.
He's like, I will kill myself if people don't like this tech tree.
The things that you're going to get in here are like really quite interesting. Now you do get your standard stat increases and various things, but there's so much in here that like unlocks features.
Oh, this looks really cool.
Real like gameplay differences. So you're not just coming in here and getting
this looks really cool.
Whatever. Right? There are some, as I said,
at least plus 2%.
Yeah, it's at least plus 2, but there are some texts like that. But like the majority.
I feel like of all of the factions we're gonna be seeing, I feel like vampire counts I don't know, I feel like I don't think there's been any confirmation about if the Glotkin and the Warriors of Chaos. I imagine they don't have an update to their tech tree, and their tech tree is so bad.
The in here are, like, really
the Warrior of Chaos tree is so sad.
We will talk about it a bit.
Yeah, so the one thing to mention,
I
mentioned this when we talked about the front.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll have a new one. I haven't heard about it if there is, though.
So if you play, you can see on the left, we've got 2 different categories, right? Vampirism and necromancy.
I do. Wow, they're so big, and there's so many little techs. Oh, this looks so cool. Oh, look, you got the Council of the Doom Lord over here. Oh, okay, so the Council of the Doom Lord is a tech that also seems to have a quest tied to it. I'm assuming the quest is do this tech.
So if you play as a vampire, you get benefits to the vampirism side of the tech tree. You start with an additional technology.
Oh, no, okay, the Scourge of Aquitaine. Okay, so down here. Oh, and then Order of the Blood Dragon. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see what okay. So it looks like the legendary heroes and the legendary lords, the legendary lord, are tech tree unlocks. It looks like what they're doing. So you can see this is going to be Wallach Harkin, the Order of the Blood Dragon. Scourge of Aquitaine is going to be how you unlock the Red Duke. And then the Council of the Doom Lord would be how you would recruit Dieter Hellschmidt.
Already researched. And also, you have
appears
no unlock
appears to
conditions,
be the situation.
for anything on the vampire side of the tree. If we were playing as a necromancer, there would have been like a couple of key unlock conditions that you'd have to meet to progress down the vampirism side of the tree. Now we are a vampire in the necromancy side of the tree. There are some conditions that you need to make to progress.
Looks
down the tree.
really
So,
good
depending on
though.
who you play as, it's kind of going to be easier or harder to.
Mastery of the Dark Arts. Oh, that's so cool. They have requirements. Oh, I love when they have requirements. I love when the tech tree makes you read it. I love when tech trees are not just brainless, like I'm just clicking on the next one for the sake of clicking on it, and it's like, no, stupid, you actually have to do stuff. So this one not only gives you access to the mortuary caravans and the Mortis Nexus building, it gives you plus 10% experience gain for all Necromancer heroes, plus 2 recruit rank for Necromancer heroes, and plus 1 capacity, but it requires you to have gained at least 200,000 corpses from
so
battles.
Corpses for battles here, an example of one.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I love that they have like checkpoints.
Vampirism side of the tree is a necromancer. I think the condition is to get more layers. So the more layers you get, the more you can go down the tree.
That I like that a lot. So what is the dead tree then?
Yeah, kind of. So the vampirism side of the tree focuses on things more focused on vampire side of the race, right? Necromancy, again, more focused on necromantic stuff. So more focused on corpses here and raised dead and things like that. Vampirism more focused on blood, the layers and so on and so forth.
Okay. So vampirism is more about the blood system, blood upgrades, vampires, lords, vampire upgrades, vampire heroes, vampire nonsense. Necromancy is more about necromancers, the corpse system, all those like upgrades that revolve around that, and then the dead I assume is more like so this is more like the military. This is the military tree, so it's more upgrades for all of the different units in your army.
Necromancy trees, they are much more campaign focused. The dead, this is a shade tree, so this is kind of the units. If you want to buff units,
okay, cool. Oh, this tech is mutually exclusive with Shambling Vanguard and Unfeeling Dead. Oh no, they're making us choose. Oh no. Okay, so it looks like it's just this tech tree has a super upgrade for the basic bitch troops, and you have to pick one. So it looks like Implacable Puppets is just zombies. So plus 50% heal cap for all zombies, plus 10 armor, plus 10% speed, plus 2 melee attack, plus 3 melee defense. That is amazing for zombies, but it's going to leave your skeletons out in the cold.
Traditional tech tree that people would have expected. A lot more of those techs live in here, right?
Yeah, so this is like a lot of just like stat buffs.
Weapon strength to charge bonus for Terrorgeist and Dragons. Leadership and missile resistance for Terrorgeist and Dragons. Awesome. Plus 1 capacity for Lami and Handmaids, plus 10% speed, and the passive, a respectable distance. That's very funny.
More powerful, you can go down the Handmaiden tree if you want to make your blood dragons, or your blood knights rather, I should say, more powerful.
Ironclad Death, plus 2 Black Knights, plus 20 armor for all knights.
Go down the cavalry tree, and then eventually you can.
Oathed in Blood, plus 1 capacity for all blood knights, plus 20% healing cap for all vampire knights. That's super good. And minus 25% vigor loss for all vampire knights. Very cool. Very, very cool. Wait, can I go back a bit, actually? Okay, yeah. So you got, Black Knights, Dragonhof Templars, Black Knights with Lances. Oh, no, this is the Regiment of Renown. Yeah. Or this one, I forget. One of these is the ROR. And then you have the two Blood Knights. Cool. Yeah, they look super duper good.
I should mention is, because there's a unit cap system, this is a really good place as well to get some really like early units.
Okay, I do like that they're giving lots of unit caps. Let's see. So this gives barrier hit points for all Spirit Boys, plus 1 Karen Wraith capacity. Oh, you get a White Blade effect. Oh, nice. I bet that's gonna give them like super hardcore armor piercing.
Capacity. Yep. So.
Oh my god, this looks so fucking cool. Am I more excited about this than I am anything in the end times? Another 300 barrier plus 1 hex wraith and 50% heal cap for spirits. Oh my god, man! I'm gonna have to clean my chair after this. I'm like losing it.
A really interesting one. We can just mention this. So this.
This says ritual hide marking, and for some reason my brain read that the first time as ritual hide mating, and I was like, what?
It has me.
What? Do what now?
Yeah, this is skeletons and zombies.
Okay, so Shambling Vanguard also exclusively buffs zombies, but it gives... Oh, maybe these are all zombie techs. So this gives Vanguard deployment for all zombies, plus 20% speed, plus 10 melee attack, plus 5 armor piercing damage.
So one of the things
Jesus!
that I've introduced to tech tree,
Very
which
aggressive.
any other tech tree, is
Okay, and this one makes them super duper duper fucking tanky,
Which is the exclusive technology.
and
These,
you can keep them
so-
around. Oh my god, this is even more tanky. Holy shit. Okay, so there's one super tech for zombies alone that you have to pick. So you get all the skeleton techs. It's the zombie techs that you get to choose one. The big zombie tech. 250% heal cap for zombies. That is insane. Plus 8 leadership, plus 20% physical resist, but minus 80% weapon strength. So if you want your zombies to literally just be meat shields, that is their only purpose in life, is to get the fuck in the way and just don't die. This is so good, especially for Necromancer. I think if you're playing a Necromancer character, like, I think for Gorst, you'd probably want one of the more aggressive ones, because he can actually make zombies pretty scary in his campaign. But I think for like Kimmler or the other characters, if you're using zombies as just to get in the way and hold people up while you slam them with bigger things, this is so good. Because like with this, you could just take like 2 to 3 zombie units in an army, and they will just last forever. Like just stick a Necromancer on a corpse cart right behind them, and they're good. They're happy. They're in their lane. They're thriving.
Make your decision. It'll lock out other technologies.
Interesting, yeah.
So
That one's a really interesting one.
Ooh,
Yeah,
perfect
this one,
vigor for
this one,
skeletons on the dead
so,
never tire.
you see
That's
from this
nice.
one, you're feeling dead. Right, this will weaken your zombies a lot, but it'll make them much more into like a meat shield.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
That's great. I love taking
you
a
can
really
go for this
garbage
one,
tier
right, just
unit
like
and being
general
like,
weapon
hey, if you
zombies
want them
and
to
one
be
weapon,
useful to you
give
late
them, like,
game,
armor piercing a little bit,
just
so you
decide
want them to be
how.
weak, but it's just really
That's
annoying,
really
you know,
cool.
and
That's
shields.
great.
Yeah, and it'll make them a bit like fast as well. So
Your rollerblades on.
yeah, you can kind of customize your zombies. What do you want your zombies to be? But you can only make the choice once.
That's very
Let's
cool.
talk Vampires or necromancers?
Let's go vampires. So yeah, one of the things with this, you'll see there's a category called Ascendant Legacies at the top. So these are
Ascendant Legacies. You must unlock another Blood Right technology before you can research another from the Ascendant Legacies category. If you get this one, you get... Oh, cool. So this will give you a bunch of different followers, and also unlocks the ability for you to get them later in the campaign. That's so cool. So it immediately gives you the Crone, the Carrion, the Restless Spirit, the Black Cat, and a pair of unique ancillaries called the Possessed Mirror. Very cool.
kind of
I
really
love
powerful.
that.
You can think of like rewards a little bit more than technologies. So they're
Enables the use of blood decrees within your provinces. Okay. Oh, nice. You don't start with that unlocked. You have to earn that. Very cool.
This one will give you access
Master of Shyish, gain access. Oh, okay, so this lets you build the Death Shroud building, get access to
to
that
the
climate
wasteland climate that we talked
type.
about earlier.
That's
Give you
very
access to that
cool.
building, which is really powerful.
Oaths of Sylvania. Enable the construction of the Sylvanian Outpost Garrison building. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so you get a unique garrison building, plus 10% weapon strength for all Sylvanian units, and plus 3 capacity for all Sylvanian humans. Love it. I love that. I love that so much. That is so
This one
cool.
allows you to focus on, the crossbowmen.
That is so cool.
Sylvanian handgunner units, if that's going to really what you want to give you.
Necrotic Construction enables faction-wide ability to rush construction by spending blood. Awesome. Awesome. Wow, so you get even more uses of
This one
blood.
unlocks the rush construction feature, which allows you to spend blood to do that.
Great.
A bunch of cool.
A bunch of followers. Yeah,
That's
it's
so
got
fucking
technology
cool.
3 in both necromancy and
Oh, wow. Okay, they really buffed what these used to do. So the Crone gives you dampening attacks, which reduces magic resistance and cancels magical attacks. So on ghosts, a ghost unit, this is god tier because it makes it where you can't get around their ethereal anymore. Increases the chance of enemy spellcasters to miscast and makes it where the winds of magic are likely to be strong.
There's a bunch of
Very,
followers
very
you can
cool.
unlock. And yeah, they'll give you an instant one of those followers, and it'll unlock them to be dropped from future battles as well. So to get those Ascendant Legacies, you need to unlock one of those.
Oh, okay. There's literally the blood right text right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's 5 blood right texts, and these allow you to grab the Ascendant Legacies at the top.
Blood right technologies, which are dotted throughout the tree.
Oh, okay, but they give you additional effects. Next vampire bloodline and power action is free. We love free in this house. That's very, very cool. And the starting rank for all vampires awakened from vampire lairs increased by +1. Nice.
I'll give you some of the
Nice. Okay, that's super cool. That's great.
The layers. So this will unlock.
Well-kept graves grants the graveyard keeper follower to your faction and enables them as a post-battle reward. +3 starting recruit rank for all vampires. Awesome.
The additional, so like the crypt excavation one.
Frenzied by bloodshed. 20% campaign movement replenished for all characters after winning a fight. Awesome. Plus 10% chance the winds of magic increase when changing. Awesome. And plus 10% sacking.
So that'll give you
God damn, these are so cool! When discovering a new vampire lair, 2,500 corpses are added immediately to the province. Oh, that's so cool. Grants access to the okay, so this unlocks some of the categories.
Their artifacts category.
Okay. Very cool. Very goddamn, dude. This cannot come out soon enough. Immediately discover and occupy a new vampire lair hidden somewhere in the world. Gain access to the legacy options.
Okay.
So start with the bottom one. I think that's the one.
This is so cool. The Scourge of Aquitaine. The Red Duke of Musion immediately joins your faction. All of his settlements are given to a different faction. Oh, well, there you go.
The Red Duke wasn't on the Confederation, the new Confederation panel.
Yeah, we'll get to that panel.
Here.
Yeah. So
okay, I do like that you're guaranteed to be able to get him. So if you want the Red Duke, even if he's killed, you just do the tech and then you acquire him.
Want him to be
That's nice.
Lord. We've heard that feedback. It's not really on the cards for this project. Might not be on the cards in the future. To quote what we always say never.
Oh, okay. Then they show you his trait. That's cute. Glorious charge for all Black Knights and Blood Knights. +4 armor piercing for all Knights and Graveguard. Oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah, all Knights, I guess. It's interesting. It doesn't say all Knights, but the Drakenhof Templars are down here. So I'm not sure if that's a bug or if they just haven't updated the text. And then he gets 25% weapon strength against Bretonnia.
But the Red Duke, not a legendary lord in terms of a traditional sense.
Yet!
Can't play him from the front end.
Yet!
However, because we know people like the Red Duke so much, we wanted to, like the proper legendary lord confederation feature.
Yep.
We want to give you a way to always get the Red Duke if you want to play with him.
Yep.
So this technology, no matter if the Red Duke is dead or not, if
it's not what we want, and we won't take it, but this is acceptable for the moment.
Quite a few different things. We changed his traits.
For the moment.
We've given him extra ancillaries.
Yep.
So Red Duke spiced up, and you can always get him in every single.
Oh, okay, so he has new ancillaries as well. So that means, basically they're saying they gave him fresh magic items. He has a brand new trait, which looks really, really good. Glorious charge on all your knights is fucking fantastic.
Playthrough now.
That's great.
So that's cool.
It's good. It's not what we want in the end. I still think we should get him as a fully upgraded legendary lord, but this is really close. Like, I would love for him to get the Boris Todbringer treatment as a character pack. Like, I would not be upset if we got a character pack that was the Red Duke fully playable with a brand new model that makes him look like his art from his Black Library book, especially, which he looks a bit different from his art. And also has him wielding his actual weapons, because in game I think he's just got 2 swords, but in most of his art depictions he has a sword and a mace, which his mace is like super fucking cool looking. And also, like, give him his unique horse. He's supposed to have a unique horse mount that he rides on, so giving him like an exclusive horse that has a unique look and is better than all the other undead horses. A unique voice actor, just the whole 9 yards. That would be super cool.
Next guy. So yeah, this is
Wallach Harkin. Wallach. Oh boy. Minus 15% upkeep for Vampire Knights, murderous charge for all Vampire Knights, and then he has the Blood Chalice ability and Honor or Death. Oh, Wallach. That's super duper fun. God, I'm so excited to play with Wallach. Also, sticking Wallach Harkin and the Red Duke in the same army, Jesus Christ. Like, they're gonna be... That army is gonna be so fucking scary. That army is gonna be so scary.
Between Nagash and like the vampire counts. So we won't talk too much about Nagash, obviously, but as you can imagine, he's undead and he has very close links. Part of the DLC.
Yep.
I think he's specifically linked to Nagash. And if you buy that, then you get access to Warlock as part of the.
So yeah, you do need to own the DLC for him. He is technically part of the DLC.
You'll see this tech. If you don't, you won't see the tech. But yeah, if you get this technology, it'll give you Warlock as a legendary hero in your faction, and you can see his unique trait there. So yeah, probably leave Warlock to.
Blood Chalice recharges if engaged in melee for 90 seconds. Oh wow, that's really good healing. That is really good healing. And then Honor or Death, I don't think is changed. I think that's just the Blood Dragon buff. 10% damage resistance and 8 leadership in melee. Yeah,
Warlock
cool.
to maybe the Nagash stream if you want, just because he's maybe slightly more associated with that. Although obviously he's a Blood Dragon.
Master of Vampires. Is that just buffs to casting? Okay. Minus 20% wins of magic cost and minus 20% cooldown for all lore vampires. Nice.
Anything else?
I think that covers.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So you've got the Master of Vampires, so that's for the lore vampires, Horror of Shadows for the lore of shadows, and then Deathly Winds for the lore of Shaish, which is the 3 vampire lores. So that makes sense. So I'm guessing the Necromancy tab will probably have 1 for the lore of vampires and 1 for the lore of undeath.
There's plenty for other people to discover on their own.
I'm really happy yeah. Okay, so you got Mastery of Death Magic, which I imagine gives them all their magic debuffs.
Just like Warlock, we've got
Council of the Doom Lord. So what do? Doom to the mortals who cast me out. So plus 400 barrier hit points for his entire army, plus 15 wins of magic for his army, and the Doom Lord ability.
Hellsnicked.
Hellsnicked. I do not fear death, for it answers to me. Allows you to pick an ally within 200 meters. They stop rampaging, gain unbreakable, and cannot die. Damn, for 40 seconds? 40 seconds they can't die and they're unbreakable? That is so good. That is so good. That's a really good ability.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how to pronounce that properly.
It's Hellsnicked.
Another legendary hero. Again, pretty sure he's part of Nagash.
Awesome.
So if you want
Awesome.
But if you get this technology,
we love the Doom Lord in this house. We love the Doom Lord in this house.
Vampire Coast, give him to Vampire. Yeah, really cool bit of like people saw from the Mongol Hunter character earlier. Right? We took him from Vampire Coast.
Puppet Master grants the Flesh Golem follower also +1 recruit rank to all tier 1 units, +1 recruit rank to all tier 2 units, and -5% upkeep to all armies. Oh, that's really cool. That's very broad. I like that.
Right? Same with these guys. It makes sense to be able to get them as the vampire count, so cool, you can do it.
I'm seeing a lot of people ask about the Ghoul King because we did promise them.
Yeah, Ghoul King. That's a good point. So Ghoul King is a real pain in, I won't swear, but pain in the butt. Just because I really wanted to get that philosophy of only having necromancers. So I wish we could just like delete the Ghoul King because we've got the bloodline. Right. The bloodline.
Boo, Mitch. If you're watching this, boo, sir, boo. Not all Strigoi vampire lords are Ghoul Kings, and not all. Well, technically, all Ghoul Kings. Not all vampire lords are Ghoul Kings. They are 2 distinct categories of the Strigoi bloodline. First of all, second of all, what about the mutts? You're forgetting about like the vast majority of the characters that you would encounter when you're like actually reading about the setting.
But we realized that the Ghoul King was part of, I forget the name of the DLC, but like one of the very first. Grim of the Grave. There you go. So Ghoul King was obviously part of that DLC, so we can't delete him. So you can still get a couple, I think it's 3, maybe 4 of the Ghoul Kings. So you'll get those from the necromancy side of the tree. So I think, for example, if you go to maybe the Long Lords.
Oh, interesting. So they're unique. Okay, so they're like unique lords. That's it. Okay, so something we were talking about on my stream the other day. When I was streaming Final Fantasy 14 the other night. We talked a lot about the end times and a bunch of other stuff. I honestly think one of the best ways to handle this, I don't know if CA can do this. This is kind of one of those like weird situations because it's like technically you got the Strigoi Ghoul King from the Grim of the Grave DLC and he's advertised as a lord. And so like you bought a lord. I don't think that should necessarily matter for what I'm going to say here, which is that I think he should be changed to a hero. I think if the Strigoi Ghoul King was made into a hero choice instead of a lord choice, so he's a unique vampire hero that specializes in stealth, buffing all of your ghouls and stuff. He has a unique lore mix where like the regular vampire has, which I think the regular vampire should become a von Karstein vampire, in my opinion. Like make her a von Karstein vampire, so she has like a mix of vampire and beasts. I think that's what they are, is vampire and beasts. And then you have your Lamian, who's a mix of vampire and shadows, and then you'd have your Strigoi Ghoul King hero, who would be a mixture of vampire and death, and then your Necromancer hero, who will have the lore of vampires and maybe the lore of undeath as their options. And so that gives you like a really nice scatter shot of lore options. He also is a character that like could specialize in stealth. He has poisoned attacks. He has a higher health pool, but very, very low armor. So like, I think he would offer a lot actually as a hero. And then it would be super easy to just make it where like you just stick him in the ghoul building tree, like at tier 2 or tier 3, and just change all of these techs. All of these techs that give you Strigoi Ghoul King Lords, you would just change them to where they increase the like capacity and or recruit rank, you know, and other shit like that for the Strigoi Ghoul King. I think that would be really, really. I think that is the way to go. I doubt there's enough time to change that, considering how close we are to release. But that's something I think I'm going to be trying to bang on the drum for. Maybe there's enough time to change that before release. But I would really, really, really encourage Creative Assembly. Actually, I'm going to make a separate video about this to release on Monday. I'm going to really encourage Creative Assembly. Make the Strigoi Ghoul King a hero. No one's losing access to him. You still, like, that way you have a hero and a lord. Like, everybody wins. Everybody wins. Even if... and you could even maybe let him keep the Terrorgeist mount. That would actually make him a very uniquely powerful hero. I would just make it where they don't get the Terrorgeist mount until a very, very high level. You know, make it like a level 21, level 30. 30 is probably too high. But maybe like a level 25 mount. That way you really got to earn it. You know, it's not something that you could just get. But like we have it where the Amber Wizard hero for the Empire can ride griffins. The Scar Veteran can ride a Carnosaur. The Fire Mage for the High Elves can ride a dragon. So like it's completely fine for heroes to be able to ride monstrous mounts, and it's literally the only mount Ghoul Kings can ride. I think that would be a really, really good choice, and that would fix this problem.
Of long dead dynasties, it's not full. You can get a Strigoi Ghoul King. So some technologies now will give you an instant Strigoi Ghoul King placed into your pool.
I think this would fix the problem. And I would say change the regular vampire hero to be a Lamian, and then you've got 3 bloodlines with unique heroes. And like maybe one day, possibly in the future, you know, we could get like a Necrarch Acolyte and a Blood Dragon Squire, Blood Dragon Squire, Blood Dragon something, and then we'd have heroes for all of them, and that everyone would like sing Kumbaya out in the distance. But I do think that'd be worth doing.
Limited in the number of Ghoul Kings that you can get.
Necromantic Conclave plus 50% heal cap for all necromancers, very cool. Another 20. Wow, holy shit! You can get a massive amount of experience gain for necromancers.
So yeah, still covered that. They are still in there.
We spoke about the corpse carts earlier. I assume these are the techs that are going to make those.
Oh, okay. So the corpse transport tree. Okay, so reduces the amount of corpses lost by 10%, plus 10% heal cap for corpse cart. Oh, I love that it gives corpse cart buffs as well. That's very fun. Plus 10% heal cap, plus 10 armor, plus 10% speed. Oh, fire resistance. Very nice.
Yeah, your corpse carts can.
And this one does the exact same thing. It just stacks. Very cool.
Corpses around.
Very, very cool. So that's the Gorst tech tree.
Dropping off the end as going over bumps and stuff. Come in here, upgrade your corpse carts. You lose less corpses when you move them around.
Yep.
So yeah. One cool tech, actually, just before we move out of the tech tree.
Actually, while they're talking, I'm going to make a note for myself.
This is how you say that. This is an interesting tech. So if you get this tech, and there's one in the vampire side of the tree for blood as well, if you disband your units, you'll get your corpses back. So you don't lose them.
Okay. So you have to get a tech. You have to make a tech. You have to get a tech for that. Okay, that's cool.
Countless souls, endless legions, and not any.
Oh, okay, and there's more split techs. So we see here the endless legions tech. Minus 10% upkeep for all armies, but then you cannot have countless souls. Oh, that's so fun. So you can either have a little bit of upkeep reduction for everyone, or you can make all of your tier 1 and 2 units basically free, but all of your high tier units become more expensive. So like if you're like No, I'm playing a Gorse campaign. I'm not using any high tier units. I'm just using nothing but garbage. That's the tech for you.
Yeah, same. So
we want to talk about this bit
That's
before we end
cute.
the.
sure.
That's
So, yeah,
cute.
separate
Also, if there's any of the big top ones that.
Oh, that was interesting. Go back. Immortality's Allure. Reduce the cost of confederating Necromancer legendary lords by 50%. And then you get plus 40 diplomacy with the host of Nagash and all vampiric factions. That's very, very cool. Okay, so if you're trying to get Kimmler and or Gorse, that's a really good tech. And then Drowned in Death gives you the Drowned Sailor, which is a unique one. And then it gives you much better, oh wow, just crazy good upgrades for all your tier 1 and 2 units again.
Necromancy Unbound, that's a cool one. So this
changes the maximum allowed replenishment rate to 100%. Damn! Damn! That's super good. That's super good.
Actually a replenishment limit in the game of 50%, so your units can't replenish for any other race more than 50.
That is so... I never knew that. So 50% replenishment rate is the usual cap in the game, but this changes it to 100%.
Vampire counts because they're all about
very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
This kind of late game tech now, which allows you to go beyond that 50% limit and gives you a maximum of 100%. So yeah, and yeah, these.
Oh wait. Go back.
Gives you a maximum of 100%.
Mastery Death Magic. Oh, okay. So that's just for death. That's kind of weird. All right.
Yeah.
Necromancers can't even use the Lore of Death, but
these are all focused
all right.
on the Dead Rise Again, which is an existing
Cool,
feature.
I guess.
This lets you double down on Dead Rise.
Interesting. Okay, so looks like there's a lot. That's kind of interesting. So it looks like there's a lot of text that will increase your upkeep pretty much faction wide, especially for the higher tier units, but just makes them like much more likely to keep coming back from the dead. That's a really interesting offer.
Slight trade-offs for making that more
powerful. I like the trade-offs. Trade-off systems are really, really good. I think that's incredibly solid.
Bloodlines?
We did mention Confederation. So we did mention Confederation.
I love the new art. So what do you need for Kimmler? So his faction cannot be bigger than 6 regions. Okay, that's fun. So they have to be weak enough. I think that's really, really fun. So if they're too powerful, they won't join you. If they're too powerful, you'll have to go to war with them and you have to beat them down. And then you could force confederate them. I think that's really, really fun. You need 10 of the spooky ghost units. You need to perform 5 rituals, whatever that is. You need a rank 30 White King character, and you have to have a positive diplomacy pact with the Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Beastmen, and Norskin. That's so cool! I love thematic Confederation. Bro, this should just be how Confederation works for almost every faction in the game. Oh my god, that's so cool. I love that you have to like earn it and also not let him get too powerful. That's so cool. I think this is the best Confederation system they've ever had. I think this is genuinely the best Confederation system they've ever had in the game. I love this. This is like, I prefer this.
Particularly, I'm talking about the objectives. We changed the
massively
just recently. I'm not sure if these are the final ones. I don't think they are. We cut them down a little bit, simplified them a little bit.
Yep.
So expect the mission objectives to change. However, you can imagine they're themed on similar things.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a Confederation feature. So yeah, we know players like collecting the lords. It's definitely a cool part of the game.
So for Gorst, okay, so they said these are going to change and probably not be as much. But for Gorst, you see it's all like corpse carts and mortis engines.
Different races, admittedly, but it's such a cool piece of gameplay. It's something people know from all of our recent race reworks. Right?
This is so cool.
We always kind of want to encourage, like, well, we don't encourage, but
spend at least 200,000 corpses, or sorry, that's 20,000 corpses. On recruitment, okay. Have a level 30 necromancer character. Research the following texts.
You can.
This is so sick. I love this.
Big part of my focus on vampire counts. And if you
oh my gosh, this is so cool.
You ask me, Josh.
Have at least. That's such a random looking number. 10,200 blood. That's weird. Have 3. Perform 3 bloodline rituals. Reach rank 30 with Vlad. Be strength rank X 10 or better for for at least a turn.
The mark
That's
is
so
insane.
fun.
I have a feature in the game that I absolutely hate.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Confederation.
Right.
In terms of, I love that you can get the Lords,
Yeah.
but I absolutely hate Confederation in terms of the fact that it gives you territory.
Right.
Because if you imagine, like, what is the point of the game?
Preach,
It's
Mitch!
start with no region,
Preach!
end up with lots of regions.
Right.
I will say, I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that so hard. I hate, like, the reason I don't like confederating other legendary lords, genuinely, the number one reason I hate it is because it gives you all of their territory and all of their armies, and I don't want that. Like, it's suddenly this massive wave of bullshit that I have to deal with. The only reason it was good, the only reason it was ever good, in my opinion, was that it got you closer to the dumbass, like, you have to own this many settlements in order to get a long victory. But those are going away. They're getting rid of those, which is really, really nice, and we're getting much more thematic victory objectives. And I don't like it. I don't like when I get a stupid amount of territory through Confederation, because it just ruins the game for me. Like, it's one of the worst parts of the game, in my opinion.
That's kind of what you're trying to do.
So it's a shortcut.
I hate it. We've introduced a button where you push this button and it just gives you a ton of regions. It's like, I hate that so much. And it's part of,
I'm really glad that it looks like they're trying to start excising
so,
that from the game.
Screw it. I've made a big difference here for the vampire counts. You don't get the territory of the vampire counts when you confederate.
I think that's awesome. I think that's great.
So,
no issues here. No complaints here.
All of their regions will be given to another vampire faction. We're calling it like the Vampire Remnants faction.
Vampire Remnants. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it's given to a vampire faction, so it's not just left empty.
Yeah, so if you own a lair or if you own a coven, which we'll talk about when we get to Neferata, that's one way to keep the region. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be maybe divisive. Who knows? But I really believe in this.
I'm excited to play with it. I'm excited to play with it because I think it's going to be better.
Oh no! We'll put my email up at the end of the stream. My personal one.
Yeah. Okay, next.
I think that's going to be a massive improvement.
We are 45 minutes into the stream. We have not opened Neferata.
I know. I'm trying to go.
Okay, so what do we get for the bloodlines now? So the bloodlines no longer give you lords at all. Instead, they give you buffs. But I believe you could do it an infinite number of times. So let's see. Blood Dragon is increase the capacity of all Blood Knight units by 1. Great. All lords gain 1,000 experience. Great. All Blood Dragon lords gain +1 melee attack, +1% weapon strength, +1% hit points. Fantastic. And that, I believe, includes that automatically includes the Red Duke, because he has the Blood Dragon keyword. I'm not sure if it would include the Wallach Harkin or not. I don't think it would, because he's a hero, not a lord. For the Lamian, +1 to Lamian Headman recruits units by 1. Great. +1 to the starting recruit rank of all heroes permanently. Wow, that's super strong. That's amazing. +1, +1% spell mastery. That's interesting. Melee defense and speed for all Lamians. You know, I don't know about that. I feel like spell mastery should be on Necrarchs, not on Lamians. Lamians having spell mastery, I think, is a little weird. I don't think I'm a huge fan of that. Because Lamians are not one of the best bloodlines when it comes to magic. They're not the worst at it, because the worst are the Blood Dragons. Then again, looking at the Necrarch one, like, the Necrarch ones are kind of insane. If you do that 50 times, the Necrarchs literally have free spells. So, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to shut up. Never mind. The Necrarchs are fine. Strigoi, you get +2 to the capacity of Crypt Ghouls, +1 to the capacity of Crypt Horrors. Every unit in the faction gets 20% health back immediately. Fan-fucking-tastic. And then +2% weapon strength and 2% hit points for all Strigoi Lords. Strigoi Lords are going to get thick. Von Karstein gives you +1 capacity for crossbowmen or Sylvanian units, which is great. That's no issues here. All units in your faction instantly gain a rank. Very, very cool. And then all Von Karstein lords get 1% spell mastery, 1% weapon strength, 1% hit points. That's a really nice. That's very broad. That's a nice blend. A little bit of defense, a little bit of magic, a little bit of offense. That's cool. I like that. And then last but certainly not least, the Necrarchs, who instantly gain 100 research point surplus, +1 Cairn Wraith capacity, and you get better spell buffs.
Let's talk about bloodlines.
Super
we did wanna
good.
keep them, not least because there's some really cool artwork.
Yep.
But also because it was nice to have like a.
That's
sync for
I
kind of
love
game
this.
resource.
I
Obviously,
love
one thing
this.
we
I
talked
love
about
this.
is
I love this. I
like
love this so much.
How are you collecting blood kisses, right?
Oh, it looks like it gets
Didn't really make
progressively
sense.
more
And also the
expensive
gameplay
too, because you
associated
can
with blood kisses is
see
not really something
the
we
von
enjoyed
Karstein's
to
at
encourage.
750.
It was like forcing strategies of like having to focus on vassals.
So-
players who didn't want to engage in like agent gameplay to do so. So we didn't like blood kisses. It's gone.
Blood Kisses is
instead,
gone.
Bloodline
Okay.
panel, you
Yeah,
need blood,
that's
which is a
alright.
new resource, obviously. And what you can do with the bloodlines, obviously, people can see them all here. You can primarily get a couple of things from each of the bloodlines. This is the way to get some unit capacity. It goes up from 500 to 750. So every time you do it, the cost keeps increasing. So there is kind of like a semi-soft limit to like how much you're gonna want to do this. But if you really want to focus on one of the bloodlines, you can do that, or you can spread out. Each of the bloodlines will give you unit capacity associated with the bloodline.
So this is awesome. This is so awesome. This is gonna make all the vampire legendary lords like super fun to play with because you could just buff them to hell and back. This is gonna make bloodline lords super fun. Like this is great. This is so fun.
And also instant created with that bloodline. Little caveat here: we've also made it so that it's not exactly the lord. So Warlock, for example, if you power the blood dragon, although he's not a lord technically, he's a legendary hero, he'll still gain buffs. So wherever it's like really thematic, imagine the buff.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so Wallach does get the blood dragon buffs. All right, cool. So legendary hero, vampire legendary heroes will still get it.
Kind of lords here, and then each of the buffs obviously will allow you to keep, continuously. Again, if this is where you want to spend your blood, again up to you where you want to spend it. But if you want to come in here and power up the bloodlines, this is what you can do.
So for those who do love their Strigoi lords, 2% on each there is pretty strong.
Yeah.
So they can have their massive monsters roaming around.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can imagine, starting off, you're maybe not going to feel 2%. By the end of your
I will say, my biggest wish for the Strigoi Lord is I still wish we could get them increased in size. I wish we could have them be like monstrous infantry sized instead of infantry sized, just to make the Strigoi Vampire Lord like really unique and like scary, especially compared to the Ghoul King.
if you focus on it, your Strigoi might be an
But
absolute beast.
one day, maybe one day.
And then in the Strigoi, in the layers, if you want to get a Strigoi, maybe double down and focus him into like a melee focused lord rather than a magic lord, right?
Yep.
So you can imagine there's lots of there you go.
This is great.
Okay.
Should we move on to? Did you want to show the victory conditions at all, or
Yeah,
move on to,
we can. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should keep that for the.
gonna boot up? There's
I think we.
Okay, victory conditions for the von Karsteins. So we have empower the von Karstein bloodline 3 times. Cool, makes sense. Construct the von Karstein court hall in Castle Drakenhof. Makes sense. Confederate at least 1 vampire lord via the bloodlines mechanic. Love that. That's really, really cool. And then maintain control of Sylvania, or North and South Sylvania, Wizenland, and Reichland. And that's all you need for a short victory. That's really, really solid.
We've updated them all.
Right.
Nice
So one of the
story
big,
thing.
changes that we've made.
And you get a unique ancillary, the Drakenhof Loyalist. His family has served the Electric House of Sylvania for over 700 years. +4 control locally and a 10% ward save buff. Damn, that's really good. I love the Elector of Sylvania. That's really cute.
We've done a big.
Immortal Aristocracy. Cost of empowering the von Karstein bloodline specifically is reduced by 25%. Love it. No notes. Perfect.
Conditions. So the team have been
Perfect,
really
no
working on
notes.
it. There's so many in the game that again, this is one of the reasons this project is just so massive. Much more
Dude,
engaged
the
with,
game
like,
is looking so good. This looks so good. Just please, no
but, yeah,
horrible
the victory
bugs.
conditions have all undergone
And I
big changes.
genuinely
They're now, like,
think this
much
is
more
the
engaged with,
best
like,
Warhammer will have ever been. And God, Josh moves so fast. Okay, long campaign victory. Achieve short victory conditions. Empower the von Karstein bloodline 6 times. Recruit all of the vampire count legendary lords. Okay, very, very cool. So you have to dominate all of the other vampire counts. Construct the occupied imperial palace in Altdorf. And then control or vassalize the entirety of the empire. Love it.
For the associated race.
Love it.
They're, like, way more
Love it. Deathly Gale, 100 blood per turn faction wide. Kick ass. Names of legend, lord, and hero recruitment plus 10. Very good. Very good. But then you're done with the
I
campaign,
believe
unless
short
you're
lasting
going
is
for
specific
like
to
the
lord,
end
and then
game.
long is more specific to the race.
Exactly, yeah. So long rewards for the race, short rewards, different.
Awesome.
And short rewards there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing we can mention, just while we're here, I guess because we loaded to say we didn't see this, but we've got intro flybys. That's another thing the team have been doing.
Oh, we might see the Neferata one.
We could pause for the Neferata one, yeah. So this was something we
Great.
saw from player feedback, right, when we did Immortal
Great.
Empires. We kind of much more simplified the intros for Immortal Empires. We saw the players wanted those back, so now every time you start a campaign, you get the intro flybys.
They can show the
they're
decrees.
back. So yeah,
Show the
another huge
decrees.
undertaking for every single lord. But
And
yeah.
we will get to Krell in a second. But the one thing I saw some people asking, effectively, by the looks of it, the focus for your rework here has been trying to make a vampire account experience for all of them that feels very rich and deep, rather than trying to spin off small mechanics for each lord, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, kind of when we kind of looked at this, not necessarily like the characters. Like, yes, we could have probably gone through and spent our time giving each character like a unique feature, but then we might not have been able to make such like a core experience.
Yeah.
And for me, the core experience is like much more important. And the other thing to mention is, although we've not like given essentially like a kind of like how we did in the last rework for High Elves, we haven't given like a brand new feature necessarily for every lord. Each lord still does have something.
Yes.
So
it encourages you to use the new.
Well, true. So Vlad, right? The books are that when we get to the Nagash stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll say in regards to what they were kind of talking about, which is that there are many people in the community that want every single legendary lord in the game to have a unique mechanic, which I agree, but it's one of those things that it's not, to me, it's not the highest priority. It's like, it's a good idea when they have the capability to do it, and that faction is ultimately fairly functional. Like, do I love that every High Elf and Empire legendary lord has their own unique mechanics? Yeah, that's fucking great. Do I think it works for every single race in the game? Not exactly. There are some characters where it can kind of become a bit of a struggle. Like a really good example is like the Lizardmen. Like trying to make a bespoke mechanic for like Mazda Mundi versus Krokgar is actually really hard. That's a good thought exercise for anyone out there, is like, how do you make something that works for one of them but not the other, that feels unique to them? That wouldn't be something that's just good for all of the Lizardmen. It's like, for the Lizardmen, I think all of us would agree that it'd be much, much better to get a hardcore geomantic web rework that makes the geomantic web an incredibly in-depth, fascinating mechanic that maybe, all of them can interact with a little uniquely. But like, do I need Krokgar and Mazda Mundi to have their own unique mechanic in addition to that? Do I need it? No. Would I like it? Sure. But like, I don't know. Honestly, for me, the only vampire count character that does not have a mechanic that I really want to have a mechanic is Vlad and Isabella. I would really love to see Vlad and Isabella get Karl Franz's electric count mechanic, but like a parodied version of it, where they put vampires in charge of all the provinces, and they get like, they just get the rune fangs, which like, the rune fangs might need to have their effects changed so that they properly give you vampire buffs instead, just like the Books of Nagash. So exactly how the Books of Nagash are available to Volkmar the Grim, Manfred von Karstein, and presumably Nagash, and then all of the Tomb Kings, I would really, really, really love to see them do the exact same thing for Karl Franz, Vlad, and Isabella, where they have like a parody of each other's mechanic.
One thing other people would have spotted as well is Regiments of Renown have a cap.
They do, yeah.
So yes, Regiment of Renowns have a cap. We've talked about that.
Regiments of Renown is like emergency
I think it's a good thing.
Obviously, of what we want.
I think it's a good thing.
Yep.
And you can upgrade that with it's automatic. Yeah, you don't even need to spend a point on it. So
that is just the Twitch extension. That's already out.
Well, each character does have individual things.
Oh yes.
So one of the things, again, we've.
Oh, interesting.
They've got some kind of what I mentioned when I say each character does have individual things that are unique. So, thing to mention, I just remember.
Looks like again, Isabella has new
skills. Can you find
Isabella?
Where is Isabella? There she is. Go to a skill tree.
Oh yes.
So one of the things, again, this is kind of what I mentioned when I say.
Yeah, it looks like she has two new skills.
Vlad and Isabella, they've got something unique now as well, which previously, and still true, is when you play as.
Oh, that's so cool! At rank 20. Isabella no longer, if you want, Isabella will no longer be a legendary hero and can turn into a legendary lord. That is so fucking cool.
You get Isabella as a hero.
That's so fucking cool. I love that.
One of the things I kind of wanted you to be able to do was turn those heroes into lords, if that's what you wanted to do. Obviously, it's cool to have Isabella playing in the same army as Vlad, but now you can turn each of the heroes into a lord when they reach a sufficient rank. So that's it if you want to do it. Customization, right? It's up to you.
Does that then reset their skill tree?
It does.
Now, okay, now my follow-up question would be, does this apply to other legendary heroes in the game, or is it just for Isabella and Vlad? I think it's fine if it's just for Isabella and Vlad. I would love if you could have this on more heroes. Like, I know there's lots of people out there that would love to have it on, like, Krell or Walla Karkin or Dieter Helschnitt or or any legendary hero in the entire game.
So it'll keep them at the same level, but they'll reset their skill tree, so you can put the points back into like a hero focused version.
I imagine this is only for Vlad and
Way,
Isabella.
that is, no matter which one you pick.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes, so it is one way. You can only turn heroes into lords. You can't turn lords into heroes, but both Vlad and Isabella, if they're hero, can do it.
Cool.
That's cool. That's a very, 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 very cool skill.
We could load the everything save, so maybe that's a good idea to do that, just because I took save.
Yeah, that's really shown me off, hasn't it? As you can see, this was on a different version of the game, so we're gonna hope this works.
It should work. I did make this
everything
thing. Kemla, I think I've set up the that allows us to get easier access to stuff. So one of the things we can look at is Kemla. I think I've set up the Confederation feature, so we can get Kemla quickly. We'll look at Gustav. I think we put this in the blog, but we had so much feedback on like the Necrotch and how he looked, so we changed how he looks.
Oh, the Necroc looks so good now. They look so cool.
Very menacingly, but yeah, it looks way cooler now.
They look so cool.
Skill trees, we got no time to talk about it. Every skill tree had a pass. Every skill tree is.
Oh man, I'm so excited! I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
We've addressed
Grave Sentinels. Oh wow, okay, big Buster Grave Guards. 10% campaign movement, minus 30% 3% vigor loss for his army. Hellish vigor.
And there's stuff in there.
Plus 10 research rate, plus 2 vampiric corruption, and the awakening is a new ability.
He's interacting with new.
Darkness wards, plus 10% raise dead again for undead units after a battle. So plus 10% have healing for units that he resurrects, plus 5% chance for them to be resurrected. He gets the Darkness Ward's passive ability and minus 15% to raise dead.
Stuff in there with blood.
Nehekar's Noble Blood, minus 20% cooldown to all spells, minus 2 for invocation, minus 3 for invocation upgraded, and plus 2 uses for the awakening and
corpses.
And exactly. So lots of stuff getting intertwined.
Very cool.
All the new features.
Very cool. I'm so excited, man.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
Well, no, before you click it, so you can actually see here, because this was on the test build when I made this save, you can see now the requirements are different.
Yep.
So this is.
Oh, okay, the requirements are much shorter. So now it's just, he has to have 5 or less regions. You have to have 6 Karen Wraiths, Hex Wraiths, or Morghuls that are ranked 7 or above. And then you have to have 2 friendly diplomacy packs with either the Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos, Beastmen, or Norskins. I feel like that one is by far going to be the most difficult in the vast majority of campaigns. Especially because it seems like for most of the long victories, you have to have every single legendary lord recruited. Having any form of diplomacy with any of the chaos factions, I could actually genuinely see that being very, very hard in like certain gameplay modes. I might actually message them about that, of like, are they sure that's what they want to do? Because I could see that being like really hard under specific circumstances.
That's the final requirements of Kemla, for example, as opposed to what you saw earlier, which was
like it's very thematic for him. But I kind of worry about how difficult that will be for some players.
We've got the cool icon anyway, so no matter what happens next.
There you go. At least we've got that. Yeah. So if you now go to the log pool, there you go.
There he is.
Kemla. So you've got him now.
Kemler now enables replenishment in foreign territory. Nice. Invocation of the Loremaster, that looks new. And minus 10% cost for lore vampires. Very nice.
I essentially debugged this, so he's still turn 1 because we're on turn 1. Yep. Obviously, he would be whatever the character was when you got him. So the other thing with Krell, can you find Krell?
If I recruit, do I need to recruit him?
I don't think you need to. I think he might be.
He popped up.
I think he'll be somewhere. Go in your character. Maybe this is one of the things. There you go. So we do have Krell. He might still be over in.
We'll let him be wherever he is, because I can see a little.
Oh, he's still over there.
He's still there. I think eventually we'll move him.
Yes.
For now, he hasn't moved. So Krell used to be a summon. He was obviously very attached.
Look at the boy.
Again,
look at the boy.
You'll see eventually. So we wanted to make him
plus 30% unit mass. Jesus Christ, he's heavy.
On players wanting us to make Krell legendary hero.
Yep.
So he is. When you start as Kemla now, you'll get Krell as legendary hero.
Hell yeah.
And,
Armor of the Barrows. Plus 15 armor, plus 30% mass, plus 8 melee defense, and the Armor of the Barrows ability. And then the Black Axe of Krell, plus 50 armor piercing damage, plus 15 bonus versus large. The Black Axe of Krell active ability and Unyielding Assault. Hell yeah, Unyielding Assault. Looks like he also starts with Guardian, so that's really good. So he has the Guardian passive.
You'll get Krell alongside.
Oh yes, he does damage over time. Let's fucking go. So the Black Axe of Krell disembowels, which deals damage per second. On his melee attacks, he also gets plus 30% to all forms of damage and plus 24 melee attack.
Like,
Awesome.
We changed Kemler's summon in battle, so it's no longer Krell. I think it's Khan Wraith. I think it was.
Oh, okay. So that skill we saw on that. Okay, that's cool. So the skill that we saw on Kimmler is now that he summons Karen Wraiths, since he can no longer summon Krell. That's awesome.
Okay.
Super cool.
So yeah, he's a hero. He's got a skill tree, as you'd expect from what we've done for
So this is a
previous
rework skill tree from nothing to.
From nothing. To
Awesome.
something.
Awesome. Lord of the Barrows, +2 capacity for White Kings, +5 in melee defense and melee attack for White Kings faction wide. Hell yeah.
You're fond of?
Battle Eternal, +2 capacity for Graveguard, -5% upkeep for Graveguard faction wide, +1 recruitment rank for Graveguard faction wide. I love when legendary heroes have faction wide buffs. That is always the coolest shit.
I mean, just generally, I think turning it.
Chosen of the Grave, +10 armor for Graveguard and his army, +10% chance for them to be restored, and +5% to their hit points if they're restored. Awesome.
Into a bit of a beast.
Fucking awesome,
that's
dude.
kind of what-
Deathless Juggernaut makes him unbreakable, +15% hit points in regen. Oh,
That's all about.
oh my god. Engine of War, +10% weapon strength, 20% spell resistance, and Frenzy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, white.
That is so fucking good. It's so fucking good. +10% campaign movement range to the army he joins, +5 leadership, and Legion Commander.
For Mr. Krell.
He looks awesome. He looks fucking awesome.
Fantastic. So the Kemmler's old faction is now Remnants.
Yeah, it will be. So we won't see it because the Fog of War is there, but that Remnants faction will have taken over his territory. Originally, I had it set up so the regions were abandoned.
Yep.
But we had kind of feedback that internally and stuff that wasn't really that fun. Caused a bit of problems. So now there'll still be a vampire faction there if you happen to be next door or whatever. So that applies to both the technology ones.
I dig it.
And
I dig it a lot.
Federation factions as well.
I like that you have access to the tools to do this because I have to manually play everything that I want us to be able to show.
Yeah.
So when you sent me this, it was, what have I been doing all this time?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to show here? Otherwise, we might quickly jump to answering a couple of questions that I had from the forums and from Reddit, and then we would have a...
Okay, so, and what I think I might do on this stream is I think I'm going to split this video up into just the rework and then the Neferata stuff. Depending on how long it ends up being, because this, I can't imagine how long I've already been going here. Oh, 1 hour and a half. Fuck. Okay.
And so Vampire Coast Raised Dead is still as it currently is.
Yeah.
Well over an hour and a half, actually.
So we spoke about that and the rework skill trees, but also them trying to interact more deeply with the shared mechanics. Hopefully they'll show off some of the new skills for Lords and Heroes. We have done some of that. We've done all of that. There's just not enough time. Please make a Vlad Emperor mechanic, which we grouped from the other. I think I was sent that from the same person maybe 20 times over the last 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, this is an example, right, where we could have done it. We could have made a unique mechanic for Vlad, but it would have been at the expense of something
They still can, just not for a while, but they still can.
else, right? So that's always the trade-off we have to make.
Red Duke info, we've covered that.
Yeah.
Krell, can Krell be recruited by anyone, or is he a Kemmler exclusive?
No, anyone. You do have to confederate Kemmler.
Yes.
Like, Krell is associated with Kemmler, so you need Kemmler as well.
Okay, so you have to get
Kemmler.
Kemmler.
With the Strigoi Ghoul King, generic Lord and generic Vampire.
Yeah.
We spoke about that.
One thing on that, actually, we didn't mention the generic vampire. You cannot get the generic vampire. Again, this is a little bit divisive maybe, but I really believed in this change. You cannot get the generic vampire as vampire counts anymore. Gone. You can only get the bloodline vampires. There is still a way to get the vampire lord, the generic one, but we need to wait for the Nagash stream to talk about that.
Okay, the only thing I'll say to that is I wish you still had the ability to get crappy vampire lords that were generic mutts. It sounds like they're still going to be in the game, but it sounds like they're probably exclusive to Nagash. I don't know. I feel like it would still be fine for them to have like really boring skill trees and be much weaker characters. But like instead of paying 500 blood to get them, you pay like nothing. Like they're free, like they're a lot cheaper, resourcefully, but they just don't come with any of the bells and whistles. They don't get any of the benefits from your empowering. Like you're not really incentivized to use them. I just like the option of having them as mutts. I understand where this is coming from of like, oh, well, why would you take a necromancer when you can have a vampire? But I think if you make it where the mutts don't get any of the benefits, I still think the master necromancers would wildly outclass them. And I would say I don't think the generic vampire lord should be a normal recruitment. I think you should still have to use the vampire lair to get him. It's just that you would not pick an option for dedicating the bloodline. And since you didn't pick an option, he doesn't get any of the buffs or anything. And he's just I think it was like 300 blood to get a bloodline. You just save those 300 blood points. But it's one of those things that like you wouldn't do it unless you're just really desperate or you're really working on a budget. You know what I mean? Just because I don't like seeing content put to pasture. I don't like when there are like character models or units or creatures or anything of the sort being like, oh, well, we're just going to throw this in the trash. Especially when there's something that it represents, which in the case of the generic vampire lord, it represents very, very diluted bloodline vampire lords. Like, they're still powerful in a sense, but like they're they're such mutts that nobody can even tell what they are anymore. And they're sort of outcasts from any of the traditional bloodlines.
Then that's a Neferata question. And Dread Abyssal Mounts, which is more of an...
Actually, hold on. I'm going to type these notes so I don't forget. Of Strigoi, Ghoul King should be hero. Vampire hero should be Von Karstein. Generic Lord Vampire should be discount Timu Vampire. There we go.
Stuff. This is just things we've seen people talking about. Yeah. So they saw there they weren't in the mount skill trees, and that is because they are associated with Nagash. Yeah. So you only get them as Mortarks, right? No, it's not. Speaking of Nagash, I will quickly point out the one.
Okay, so the Dread Abyssals are only available to you if you get them as if they're a Mortark. They have to be a Mortark to get the Dread Abyssal mount.
And that was we had two starting options, which was the Black Pyramid or Nagashazar. We went with the Black Pyramid because we wanted his, and they will see it when we show them, that you cannot detach Nagash from the Black Pyramid with how much of his mechanic is focused on the Black Pyramid. Yeah. So it made sense for him to own that location at the start too. You guys will see why. It is very cool, that mechanic, and we'll go into it. But as for why not Nagashazar, it is intentionally designed as an awful place to get to and from, and that's why it's such a good fortress, right? But it made for a difficult start position that wasn't very fun unless you had a tunnel stance, and then it was, do we give Nagash a tunnel stance? Does that make any sense? But we know it is important to him in the lore, and there will be a way to get back to it relatively early in the campaign. So it's not like it's a binary, we put him in the Black Pyramid, you'll never be able to get there, or you're going to have to trek all the way over there. There will be a way to get there.
Okay, that's good. And I'll be honest, I think putting him in the Black Pyramid is a much more interesting start. Like, if we're going for lore accuracy, he should start in Nagashazar. But, like, the idea that something is... Honestly, they could really easily just include, like, a little lore blurb at the start of Nagash's campaign, where it's like Nagash's body back in Nagashazar is like assassinated in a Skaven attack. So like Clan Mordkin or something like that, but like have it where like the Skaven clan launched a big assault and they successfully killed him and he resurrects back in the Black Pyramid like he does. That has happened before. Like, he has died before. He has died several times, and every time he dies, he resurrects in the Black Pyramid, and then he makes his way off to other parts of the world. So, like, it's not that hard of a thing to fix. Just saying.
Okay. Shall we show Neferata?
Yeah, let's do it. Do we have another 2 hours?
We have let's say 30-ish minutes.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I'm going to go immediately into recording the next one. But, like, otherwise this video is going to be, like, 3 hours long. So I'm going to go ahead and call it because this is, like, a nice natural point. I will say that I think the Vampire Count rework is looking absolutely amazing. It's got literally everything I could want. The only issues I have with it are that I don't like them getting rid of the generic Vampire Lord because I think that sets a poor precedent. And it's also not something that needs to be done. I think you can easily make the generic Vampire Lord where it's just a weaker option and disincentivize players to take it as opposed to just not allowing players to take it. It's just my opinion. I also, I'm not super disappointed because this is something that can always come back to at a later date, which is why it's not like a hill I'm going to die on. I would have liked to see unique mechanics for Kimmler, Vlad, and Gorst, because the three of them, Manfred's got the Books of Nagash, so he has a mechanic. We know Neferata's going to have a mechanic. So, like, you know, I would love for Vlad and Isabella to have the electric out mechanic. That should be super easy to do because they should literally just be able to essentially copy paste the mechanic from Karl Franz and then just change. Like, you just have all of the Empire settlements count as Empire settlements for him. And if he takes over a province, he can assign an electric count and they get buffs and an item. And you just take all of the items and you make sure that whatever buffs they give is appropriate for the vampire counts and you're done. And like, it has like a Sylvanian flair. Other than that, like you're done. It's that easy. Gorst and Kimmler, you know, one day it would be cool to maybe see them have a little something. I don't think they necessarily need it. They're so heavily specialized into what they do. With Gorst being the I make zombies actually fucking amazing campaign, and Kimmler being the I am an absolute terrorist and also have like chaos buffs out the wazoo. Honestly, the biggest thing for Kimmler would be if they could just make it where he's more reliably able to team up with chaos. That would do it for him. Like that, you're done. Like I could think of more mechanics if I wanted to make it more complex, but I don't think it needs to be complex. I think if you just make it where he's able to be super buddy with chaos very, very easily, like that's a unique campaign. He's got a unique system going for him. So yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna get out of here. Please let me know what y'all think of all this stuff down below. What's the part you're the most excited about? Is there anything that you were hoping for that you're not seeing? Is there anything you're disappointed with? Do you have any worries or concerns? I will be trying to really carefully read over all the comments to look for things that I can try to pass on to the team if possible. But I'm really, really excited for this and I'm really optimistic about it. I think it looks very, very exciting. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.